Welcome, modern day mystics, fellow truth seekers. James and Justin back again with another reaction video. And in this one, we're going to take a look at a Vishuddha Das video entitled The Law of Karma Isn't What You Think. How do you think?
It isn't what I think. What could it be?
Well, let's take a look.
So in the West, we like to think of karma as what goes around comes around. This is probably the most common phrase we use to describe and understand karma. But that isn't actually what karma is according to Sanatana Dharma, or Hinduism as we know it. So today I want to share with you a concise and clear understanding of what karma actually is. To start, the best way to understand karma is to understand the exact root of the word. Karma is a Sanskrit word which most directly translates in English to action. That's it. Just action. Anything we do, me talking right now, filming in this camera, moving my hands, that is karma. That is action, a happening. When we think in the West of what goes around comes around, we're thinking of a part of karma called phala karma, also known as the effect of karma, right? The phala karma of me pouring water is that water ends up on the ground. That's phala karma. This is the understanding that our acts produce future outcomes in addition to immediate visible results, like a stone thrown in the water or like water being poured on the ground. They produce an immediate effect. We can see it, it is tangible, we are aware of it right after something happens. So that is phala karma, the effects of karma. So now by understanding...
Okay, this is weird, and you let me know. Anybody, just take it easy, but you let me know if you want.
Yeah.
There's a weird sort of karma that, like, first of all, I think a lot of people take for granted the idea that there's an immediate effect and an effect in the future. It's like, okay, got it. Moving on. It's like, well, hang on. The implications then would be like, what, super crazy of that. But there's a weird thing that happens sometimes when I get together with a bunch of people. If it's like a party or something like that. Sometimes I'll be, unconsciously going around yakking my head off at a party, and then later on, somebody will say something, and it's like something that is offensive to me, and I'll be angry at somebody could say something so thoughtful. You said that thing? I can't believe you said that.
Yeah.
And then I trace my steps back to several hours earlier, and lo and behold, I will have done something similar. I can remember doing something, and I'm not suggesting that this was a revenge from somebody. I'm saying that when you're unconsciously yakking, like bragging, for instance, or gossiping, or, somebody there has got a weight issue and you're like, I'm just so glad I'm not any fatter than I am, or, talking nonsensically. Now, have you ever noticed anything like that? I'm just putting the question out there. You ever notice that kind of karma, or is that paranoia?
Yes, no, yeah. Usually, if you really examine it, you can find roots and traces within your own past behavior, for sure. But I have a thought, and I don't want to not say it because you mentioned that it was, there's an immediate effect and a future effect. And I know I'm jumping off what you said here, but I was wondering, I wonder if it can affect the past.
I've wondered that too. I think when you get into that sort of thinking, you better be in like a 4-hour-long meditation when you start toying with that idea. Because I do think that there's some relationship. We'll have to save that for a more complicated video. Yeah. But I think there's a relationship between the past, present, and the future. And also, I don't think I've got my weight under control. Yeah. I stupidly just did in real time the thing I did talking about weight. I'm not happy with my own weight, in case anybody's curious.
Yeah.
Understanding there are actions and immediate effects of actions, where does morality come into play, right? If what goes around comes around, where is the morality of doing good or doing bad leading to more good or more bad? Well, these effects of karma on a moralistic level are known as punya karma, or actions which cause good, and papa karma, or actions that cause sin or incur bad. Basically, with each and every action, not only are there immediate effects that might not be good or bad, they might just be happenings, right? A stone thrown in the water isn't inherently good or bad as it happens. But as we continue to live and continue to make decisions and produce karma and act and do things, there is this kind of culmination of ways of being, of ways of acting, of ways of living that lead to punya karma or papa karma, good or bad karma. But how exactly is it decided, right? Is there some kind of moralistic deity in the world that is saying these are good actions and these are bad actions? And so this is also answered in Sanskrit through the phrase karma phala datta, which means that Ishvara, Brahman, the universe as a whole, is the dispenser of fruits. The universe decides what to provide and what to give us, and what to show us and reveal to us, and produce for us in our life. You can kind of see this as why if two people buy a lottery ticket, why does one win $1 million and the other person wins nothing? What if the person that didn't win has been buying them for years and the person who won just bought his first one? Well, that's kind of just how the chips fall, how the universe decided for that moment to happen. But more importantly, that it all kind of just happened innately and naturally. It is a rolling of the dice, so to speak. Because on a human level, there is something called prayatna, or free will. Basically, our ability to choose and act and decide to do things for ourselves. Everybody doing this all at once creates a kind of karma in your sphere of life that you are experiencing and that you are perceiving as good or bad. And in Hinduism, the combination of these two things are what we think of as karma in the West. What goes around comes around. That doing good produces good deeds, and doing bad eventually leads to worse things happening. It is essentially karma phala, or the effects of our actions plus our free will to decide what we do and decide which actions we take. They create our destiny. They create the culmination of our karma in life.
That's weird though, because can someone do a bad deed and then it result in a good in good?
Yes.
What was meant for evil results in good?
Yes, that happens
So
all the time.
yeah, so
Funnily enough, I don't know if I've ever talked about this before, but as far as I know, with the Titanic, they didn't want to make it look bad, so they didn't add enough rescue boats. So then the next time people got wind of this, and then they like overdid it with the rescue boats, and there was famously like a boat that like capsized because it had too many rescue boats on it.
Yeah.
It's like trying to hit a target. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
During World War I and II, there was all kinds of technologies developed out of something that was like one of the greatest horrors the world's ever seen.
Yeah.
And then it gives birth to all this other stuff. So it does make it tricky, deciding what needs to be like tamped out and squelched right away, and what
it's very nuanced, because there's also the intent into what are the decisions. Like say you take an action and it produces an evil cause, but you meant no ill intent, versus the person who meant the ill intent would cause. So it's like so varying.
I honestly believe, because this is something that like some of us, really wrestle with, is like, just tell me what I gotta do, or just like my own self. Come on, resolve this, and you think and you think and you think. I think one of the great tasks humanity is facing, okay, for what it's worth, and I think there's other people probably come to this conclusion too, is building a tolerance towards paradox. Like literally, that's a pretty big deal. If you can build tolerance towards paradox and towards like even learning to let go a little bit, or learning to like, just, I don't know, maybe it's
kind of let things navigate you more than you navigate them, or allowing for a place for that to happen.
How has evolution worked for the last however time? Sometimes you've got to grow a new sense. It's like, with how complicated everything's getting, maybe we're just like struggling out of our shell into some kind of new sense to deal with all this paradox. And that's why you see people sitting in rooms silent, like so odd human for humans. They're always doing something.
All right, let's continue.
By our actions and by what we do and by how we live, through our own individual unique choices, the billions of them being made by billions of people every single day, produce a way of living and a way of being and a continuation, a cascade of actions that lead to either a better life or a worse life. And sometimes we get this and it makes sense right away. And other times it doesn't, and we might feel like the world is against us. And that's why the problem of karma in the West can be so confusing and honestly set us up for failure, because we assume that if I do good, I will get good in return. But that's not really doing good. That's doing something you perceive as good with the expectation of getting something for it. That's acting for the ego, not acting from the heart. So when we think of karma, I want you to not think of it as what goes around comes around, right? Oh, I did good, I better get a better life, or things better change for me because of it. Or, oh, that person did bad, I hope worse happens to them. Instead, just remember that the way I live and the decisions I make constantly throughout my life will continue to create a flowing river that is either more torrential or much more tranquil, more calm. It is why you may see people that do good and live good lives, go through hardships, and over time continue to live good and continue to do good and act virtuously and follow their dharma.
Man, that's so tough, because depending on where I'm at, you could ask me one day and it would be, I'd be like, don't do anything the way I've done it. And then another day I'd be like, let me tell you how to live a good life. Because everything's good for me in that moment, you know? And maybe that's something that's like, maybe everyone disagrees with me, you know, but I feel like there's something common about that. Sometimes it feels like you did everything right and then you're like humbled. So, but the way I've achieved that thing is to at least get a taste of the really good life. Some days I wake up and there's always a reason to be grateful, but sometimes you really feel in the river. The way I've kind of approached that is jumping in with both feet with whatever phase I am in. If the reality's trying to teach me humility, I try to like adopt humility as with all my heart. You know, if I feel like I've merited some kind of like, you know, well, have I really experimented with being as arrogant as I possibly could? So I look around, seems like other people are getting away with being arrogant. I'm gonna see what it tastes like, see what being arrogant tastes like, and then you learn what that has to offer, and then you're quickly corrected. Yeah. Now the problem is there's consequences. Yeah. There's consequences to your actions, right? But I feel like sometimes the problem keeping people from learning this karmic lesson is their resistance. They're caution to things. You don't get me wrong. It's good to be cautious. It protects you from stupidity.
Yeah. Well, there's pros and cons to like with the method you're talking about. I'm sure you get like greater results if you dive in deeper, but there's probably if you have to face a consequence, it probably is more severe, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm sure there's lots of people out there like me. I'm a little bit different. I'm more of like a tippy toe type of a person because I'm just too much of a coward to face it all at once.
No, and I hope that you know things I say are benefit to you because I watch people like yourself that do that and I try to learn. It's like, look, I'm not beholden to what I just said a moment ago. That's a good thing. I can jump in with both feet to the middle road. No, I'm gonna be middle for a while. Take it easy. Maybe not be so ranty. Everyone can do that. Yeah.
And well, I think what he's talking about here too is also the accumulative effect. Just to kind of like bring it back to what he was saying. I bet you a lot of people near the end, like once they start hitting that 60, 70-year-old bracket, you start to see a lot of the results of what he's talking about. You know, of a life, all the accumulated things over life, what it's really brought.
Yeah, and I think you start to. I think sooner than later, it's good to get there's like a overly said thing, which is like it's not the destination, it's the journey. But that is something rings very true to that. Once you've been on enough destinations, you're like the journey is not it, man. I don't care what the heck you're after. You will oftentimes miss the chase. You know, I miss those days. Of chasing. Try to get a taste of that when you're young, man. You know, and you know, just when you're after something.
Good point. All right, continue.
Life slowly gets better and better over time. It's not predictable. It's not calculable, but things do change for the better. And at the end of their lives, many people who live this way say, I regret nothing. It's been a beautiful life. I'm happy for every bit of it, every bit of hardship and suffering and all the greatness and all the beauty. It was all perfect. Everything is perfect, as Neem Karoli Baba would say. And it's also why you see people who accumulate papa karma or do wrong consistently, maybe thinking that they can skirt by and that nothing will happen, nothing will go wrong. You will see that eventually things start to get worse, to deteriorate or fall apart. And that's the root of karma in Sanskrit, is knowing that the way we live throughout our life continues to make life either easier or harder. And the more we can come to just live as best we can, as virtuously as possible, follow our dharma like Krishna says, the easier things get. And over time, this combination of what we do and how we act, mixed with our own unique and individual ability to make our decisions, leads to a beautiful, beautiful life and future, allowing it to kind of blossom as it so decides. And that is the essence of the true definition, the true meaning of karma according to Sanatana Dharma, or Hinduism as we know it. So I hope that can help you. If this is interesting to you, you want to know more or have any questions, any other topics, please like, subscribe, and comment them down below. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Ram Ram.
Very good video, Vishuddha Das. Another good one. The only thing that I would kind of spin off that, like, when I think of karma, I think of it almost kind of like a proverb where it's like true most of the time. Like, he did paint a very good rosy picture by them. Like, you do the right things, you plant the right seeds, everything works out. most of the time.
Well, watch this, okay? But just to piggyback off your thing. And I'm just trying to help everybody else out there because, like, I've literally loved my life. I've loved it so much. And I've talked to other guys that are older than me that have lived the same way I live, and they love it too. So just do what I said and you'll be good. Like, anyone can just say that, man.
Yeah,
Sometimes the only way you know I'm for real is if I put on a grumpy face, because who the hell would pretend that? You know? I'm a real human, and so are you. So let's be real about it.
Yeah, I was just trying to get at the point that, like, I'm sure there are cases where, you know, things looked really good right up until the end, and then, you know, a disaster happened.
Well,
Things
yeah.
got really bad. Like that like happens.
Any of my heroes, like one of my heroes is Osho, and he like was stabbed and when sent across the states, poisoned by, you know, allegedly.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of chaos in there. And even if you look at somebody like Sadhguru, who's like kills it pretty conscientiously, you know, he's had troubles in his life.
Well, I wonder if the purest of the karma people would be like, well, there was something that, you know.
No, but you're not getting it. So the difference is all those things happen to people. Look at my face. I'm never not smiling. And I understand that there's some people that would be like, I want to look at a smiley face. Who the hell wants to look at a grouch? I understand. Yeah. But we're making a more complicated point here. You know what I mean? Try to see the deeper point. I stick with what I said, that I have good days and bad days. Yeah. Like a normal human. Yeah. And that the tactic that I take that I find, you know, maybe arrogantly, I find helps me shift through phases a little quicker, is I try to do the phase I'm in with my whole heart. Yeah. You know, like I try not to be too, but if you're not that way, don't feel bad about that either. Yeah. You know, if you're like a reserved person and you were like, I really want to believe in wisdom, and I don't believe your chaos theory of everything's anything and do whatever the hell you want. Yeah. I want to be wise. Yeah. That is also good. So yet again, another episode of this ends with everything's everything and nothing is anything.
Well, anyway, folks, another great video by Vishuddha Das. Go check out his YouTube channel. He's got great content. If you liked our reaction, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and everyone. Until next time, stay spiritual.